Welcome back. Well, yes, we'll be continuing, as a matter of fact, with the developments within the People's Democratic Party. We'll go over to our Abuja studios where Ahmed Golak joins us. He's the Senior Special Assistant to the President on Political Matters. Morning, and thank you for joining us today. Well, those who say they are members of the new PDP, as they refer to themselves, not particularly happy with the style of administration of the chairman. That's part of what they've said. And as a matter of fact, they also say they want a new convention, and there was a whole list in some of the dailies yesterday, which I'm sure you're aware of. What do you make of some of these demands which are being touted here and there of the group?
Well, good morning. I have understood quite clearly what you said the requests are, or rather the demands are. I believe there is only one PDP, and the formation, organization, and administration of any political party in this country is governed by laws. And the demands as forwarded by those that call themselves aggrieved persons within the PDP, I think is unreasonable and unacceptable. Because there have been a convention, and officers were elected, and that convention came about because the neck of the party resolved to hold that convention, consequent upon the observations INEC made as to the last convention that produced some officers of the party. And the NEC, which included all those people that call themselves aggrieved persons now, agreed that we have to put our house in order. And the way to put our house in order is to convene, elect our officers appropriately in accordance with the guidelines and the constitution of the party. And that was exactly what happened on the 31st of August this year at the Eagle Square. To come round and say now that they need another convention is, I think, is unacceptable to the party. It is not constitutional. That is on that aspect. Secondly, I have been reading some of the demands, or should I say requests, in the papers and the reports from the media, that one, the national chairman should go. Two, the president should not, even think of contesting in 2015. Three, that the president should order that the EFCC should not probe some of the governors. These are conditions that are, unacceptable, unconstitutional, against the dictates of the laws of the land. One, the national chairman was elected through a process which was validated by ANIA, and to say he should just come, somebody should just say, ask him to go, it's unheard of. There are processes for election and there are processes for removal. Those processes must be followed. It is unfair to ask the chairman to resign, or to ask the leader of the party to ask the chairman to go. Secondly, talking about 2015, I have always said that the president has the constitutional right to present himself for election in 2015. That is his constitutional right, as guaranteed by the Constitution 1999 as amended. No individual or group of persons can shortchange him or can abridge those constitutional rights. If it is on his own volition that the president decides not to offer himself for election, so be it. But I believe because it is his right to offer himself for election, it is left for him and Nigerians to decide his fate. Not for a group of persons to just come and push that idea and force it down the throat of, members of the PDP.
Part of what?
Thirdly, for God's sake, how can, the system, for example, say, no, the EFCC should not perform their duties, or the police should not perform their duties? So that is in itself an aberration.
Okay, let me go back to that of the chairman, because there are lots of issues about the EFCC and that of the president. Concerning the chairman, I don't know if you heard some of what they also talked about, that the challenge they've got with the style of administration of the chairman goes way back. In fact, some say started off in Adamawa. In fact, some also say that, if I remember properly now, I think on May, 2001 or 9, they say at the time that the chairman was suspended from the party, was it expelled, and that he was not properly brought back. And so some consider him not even a full member of the party. That's on the one hand. Perhaps let's get your response on that first.
Well, let me tell you, I don't know of any instance that the chairman was suspended or expelled from the party. I know as a fact that the national chairman, Bamanga Tukur, was one of the founding fathers of the PDP. And in fact, Bamanga Tukur was the person who paid the first rent for the party to house its headquarters. The records are there. Along the line, there were some instances of disagreements within the party, just like what is happening now. And, the founding fathers, under the chairmanship of Dr. Alex Okweme at that time, exonerated most of the allegations against Bamanga Tukur at that time. And I believe those making those allegations should go back to their records, and they will see that Bamanga Tukur was never expelled from the party, that Bamanga Tukur was one of the founding fathers of this political party, was one of the financial members of this political party at its starting stages. Now, secondly, about Adama, I would always like to refrain from making comments on Adama State because I am from Adama State. But the facts must be told. The truth must be told. The facts are clear. In Adama State in 2007, for example, when the then chairman of the party, Chief Joel Madaki, resigned to contest for the governorship election, the deputy chairman, which happened to come from the governor's local government and ward, stepped into his shoes for some period, because it is clear in the constitution that whenever the chairman resigns, his deputy will step into the office for a certain period. And it is also in that constitution as ordained that when an officer resigns, his replacement must come from his zone. That did not happen. The stakeholders of Adamawa State, that people like Professor Jibrin, Dan Suleiman, Ambassador Juta, and a host of others, came together and advised the governor that if we are playing politics, if it is the people we want, the chairmanship of the party should come from another zone, not from the same local government like you are, which you are coming from. But the governor refused. Then there were a series of petitions to the national headquarters, even during the time of Bello Haliru and Baraji. There were times when the election of the governor was annulled and the stakeholders said, no, the party structure must be rectified before they go for election. And in fairness to the present president, when he was vice president, he had to call the Adama stakeholders, plead with them to go back and elect Nyako, not because of his personality, but because of the party. Because we don't want to lose power to another party. And the stakeholders agreed. These processes happened again in the second annulment of the governor's election. The president had to again call Adama stakeholders to plead with them and go and canvass for election for PDP. And they agreed with him, saying that when after the election, the party structure should be rectified. Up till last year, that was not addressed until INEC came with official position that they did not recognize the congresses in 9 states of the Federation, and which included Adamawa State. And the NWC resolved to dissolve Adamawa State, set up a caretaker committee that conducted congresses that produced the new party leadership in the state. So it is not about Bamanga as a person or as a chairman. It is not about Dr. Bamanga because people may say because he's from Adamawa State. No, but Adamawa was one of the 9 states that INEC said the congresses were invalid. And the states must be taken one after the other to rectify the anomalies. So this is the position of the party structure in Adamawa State.
You know, critically, if you follow your analysis and you also go with what the splinter group of your party has been saying, it looks that they are just so heavy on that point, wanting the chairman of your party out. If that doesn't happen, which would you, as a party man speaking, prefer? Would you love to see them go, or love to see the chairman
in response
out
to that,
of office?
I think the
leaders
leaders
to have more members, because they are 7 and they just want one man out of office.
Look, let me be specific on that. I think the leaders of the party are talking, they are discussing, and especially the elders of the party are discussing in order to solve the problem. Talking about the 7 governors, well, they are entitled to their opinion. But let me make it clear that apart from Sule Lamido of Alhaji Sule Lamido of Jigawa State and Dr. Rabi Konkoso of Kano State, all the other 3 governors, everybody knows, we are not there when this party was formed. And the governor of Sokoto State, for example, was coming from ANPP. In fact, his deputy governor had won the primary election in 2007, and there was this arrangement. He was brought from ANPP and given the ticket to contest election. So he may not know the principles behind PDP. Talking about governor of Niger State, he is now a PDP member, but everybody knows he just came out from the civil service. He was the permanent secretary of FCT, and he was literally dragged into politics to be given the ticket in Niger State to contest election under PDP. My governor, the admiral, was in his farm. He was reluctantly dragged, to PDP and was given ticket against the wishes of all other 9 aspirants as at that time. So I believe they should realize that, they are really indebted to PDP. And the best way to pay these debts is to protect PDP, not to tear PDP apart. Because if they are really genuine in their approach, they should know that people agree to disagree or disagree to agree. This party should be supreme. This party should be above parochial individual interests. And we call on them as members of the PDP to retrace their steps, come back to their fold, and let's move this country forward.
Well, going by the way some of these governors emerged, looks to me that there's some form of regret in judgment by those who actually brought them out as representative of your party in those states. Don't you think that in the future the party should let the people rather decide who represents them in the party, instead of asking maybe a group of elders saying, this one, he's just out of the civil service, or the other who was reluctant in his farm and he was asked to come, in the midst of people who are actually interested, that have genuine feelings and love for your party?
Well, you see, the democracy is developing. As at that time, they may be excused, but democracy is developing, the PDP is developing, and it is growing. All the members of the PDP are saying, I always hear these comments that PDP must really develop and improve its reward system, because there are members of the PDP who